It all started with a kiss cam moment. At a packed Coldplay concert, the camera swept across the cheering crowd and stopped on Andy Byron, billionaire CEO, public figure, known as a devoted family man. He smiled shyly, leaned over and kissed the woman beside him. But the woman wasn't his wife. By the next morning, that 15-second clip was everywhere. News outlets, blogs, social media. It spread like wildfire. Headlines screamed, "Married tech CEO caught on kiss cam." Jokes flew, debates raged, and thousands weighed in from behind their screens. For the online world, it was juicy entertainment. For his family, it was the moment everything cracked. At home, in a quiet suburb, his wife sat at the kitchen table, watching the clip play again and again, hands trembling. Their 2 children, still too young to fully understand, sensed something was wrong. Mom wasn't smiling. Dad wasn't home. The phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages from friends, missed calls, reporters asking for comments. Outside, unfamiliar cars lined the street, waiting with cameras ready. No one paused to wonder how his wife was coping. No one asked what his children were feeling. Because in public scandals, all eyes lock on to the headline figure. But behind closed doors, it's the ones left in the shadows who break the hardest. Before the scandal, Andy Byron's life looked perfect, at least from the outside. A self-made entrepreneur, Andy had built his company from a garage startup into a billion-dollar tech empire. He was often praised in interviews not just for his business acumen, but for being a family man. His wife was known among friends and colleagues as his quiet backbone, the woman who had stood by his side through the hard years, the setbacks, the late nights of risk and hustle. At charity galas and company parties, they appeared as the picture of success, hand in hand, smiling for cameras, looking every bit the power couple. The 2 sons were often described as Andy's pride and joy. In speeches, he spoke of taking them to Little League games, helping with science projects, weekend camping trips. "They remind me what it's all for," he once told a magazine. Family vacation photos sometimes surfaced online, the 4 of them on the beach, the boys on Andy's shoulders, laughter frozen in time. For the public, it was easy to believe this was a man who had it all: fortune, fame, and a happy home. But inside the walls of that beautiful house there were cracks. Friends noticed Andy missing more family events. His wife quietly juggled the boys' school schedules, doctor appointments, birthdays, often alone. The boys sometimes asked when Dad would be home, why he missed dinner again. Like many families living under the pressure of ambition, they told themselves it was temporary, a phase, a season that would pass. No one, not his wife, not his sons, not even Andy himself, was prepared for the moment when that carefully built life would begin to unravel in public. The morning after the kiss cam clip went viral, everything changed. Photographers camped outside the Byron home, their cameras aimed at the front door from parked cars across the street. Reporters called non-stop, leaving voicemails asking for statements, interviews, any reaction at all. When his wife stepped outside to take the boys to school, microphones were shoved in her face. She kept her head down, her arms protectively around her sons as they hurried to the car. At school, the boys faced a world they didn't understand. Classmates whispered, older kids snickered, parents exchanged glances at pickup. "Why are people talking about Dad?" one of them asked quietly. "Why are they laughing at us?" Online, things were even worse. The family became the subject of endless jokes, cruel memes, speculation threads. People they had never met dissected their lives, their marriage, their parenting. Family friends didn't know what to say. Some called with awkward sympathy, others stayed silent, afraid of getting pulled into the media storm. Relatives, even those far removed, were dragged into the chaos. Andy's siblings received hateful messages. his wife's elderly parents got prank calls at home. Inside the house, the tension was unbearable. His wife tried to shield the boys, turned off the TV, banned social media, reassured them everything would be okay. But even she couldn't hold back the quiet shaking of her hands, the nights lying awake, staring at the ceiling. Meanwhile, Andy was nowhere to be seen. Crisis meetings, lawyers, PR team, he was everywhere except home. And the family, once just background to his success story, now stood at the center of a storm they never asked for.
His wife chose silence.
She didn't release statements, she didn't give interviews, she didn't call friends to explain, she simply endured. But inside the house, the silence was deafening. At night, when the boys had gone to bed, she sat alone in the dimly lit kitchen, hands wrapped around a cold mug of tea, staring blankly at the darkened window. Sometimes she would step into the car parked in the garage just to sit, close the door, and cry where no one could hear. The two boys, once playful and carefree, became quiet. The older one stopped inviting friends over. The younger clung closer to his mother, asking nightly, "When is Dad coming home?" Family photos on the wall, vacations, birthdays, school recitals, became painful to look at. She sometimes caught herself scrolling through old videos, the boys laughing as Andy lifted them onto his shoulders, his hand resting gently on her back during family outings. She would wonder, was it ever real, or was I the only one trying to hold it all together? Friends offered advice: leave, stay, forgive, fight. But none of them had to look into the eyes of two boys and explain why their father, their hero, had become a stranger.
Andy's absence was more than physical. It was emotional. Even when he texted, "I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix this," he wasn't really there.
In the media, he was a CEO under fire, a public figure facing backlash. But inside his own home, he was something far worse, a father and husband whose absence was felt in every small, aching corner of their lives. To the outside world, it was just a workplace scandal. An ill-advised moment, a kiss caught on camera, a PR headache, something to manage, explain, and move past. But inside the Byron home, it was an earthquake. His wife didn't care if it was just a kiss or something more. His sons didn't care about public statements or legal clarifications. What mattered was that the man they trusted, the man who was supposed to protect and love them, had done something that shattered the safety of their world. In public, people debate blame, dissect details, argue over who's at fault. But children don't understand nuance. They understand only that their mother cries behind closed doors, that their father isn't there for bedtime stories, that whispers follow them at school. For his wife, the damage wasn't about public image. It was about trust. How do you share a home, a life, a future with someone when you no longer know who they really are? Friends and colleagues often said they'll get through it. Families survive worse. But the truth is, no apology tour, no redemption campaign, no corporate comeback could stitch together the invisible cuts left behind. The real casualties of a public fall aren't the careers or the reputations. They're the quiet, unseen breakdowns at home, the nights when a mother muffles her sobs in a pillow, the moments when young boys stop asking why and start pretending they don't care. In the headlines, Andy Byron was a CEO in crisis. Behind those headlines, his family was quietly falling apart, in ways no reporter bothered to write about.
Andy Byron lost his title.
In a carefully worded statement, the company announced his resignation to focus on family. The board expressed gratitude for his years of leadership. Stocks dipped briefly, then stabilized. PR teams began working behind the scenes, whispering about second chances, redemption stories, eventual comebacks. For Andy, the losses were public. His reputation, his position, his carefully cultivated image. But for his wife and sons, the losses were far more private and far harder to repair. Two boys now faced a new world where the father they adored had become a stranger overnight. They saw their mother flinch when the phone rang, withdraw when neighbors offered hollow smiles. They heard the arguments behind closed doors, the muffled sobs late at night. Trust, once broken, is not easily rebuilt. For his wife, it wasn't just about the betrayal itself. It was about the shattering of the life she thought they were building together. She now carried the weight of not only holding herself together, but holding up two young boys who were quietly asking, "Is everything going to be okay?" And that's the cruel truth of scandals like this. The headlines fade, the public moves on, the memes die out, but inside the homes left behind, the echoes linger. Andy Byron may one day find his way back into boardrooms, into conferences, into public favor. But his family? They're left with something no PR firm can fix, no apology can erase. Because in the end, the people who pay the highest price are often the ones no one sees, not the CEO on the cover of magazines, not the man at the center of the storm, but the silent victims left in the wreckage. The world always asks what's next for him. The real question is, what's left for them?